Welcome, everybody, and great to be here with you all. I feel the energy feels really good today, and I'm sure we'll have some fun and interesting experiences. And because last time out we had some pretty good retrieval work by all of you, I do feel that everyone is ready and open to this experience, and I think we should, go at it some more today and maybe another day, because once you realize how doing a retrieval is like walking out a door into the street. It can be that simple, even though you're projecting and you may be projecting to a number of different levels on the astral plane. Um, uh, you are essentially going through a door to somewhere else. It's not as complex as it might seem at first. So allow yourself to feel that ease of access, and try not to feel that something is opposing you or giving you difficulties or hurdles to jump over. That, of course, other than your own self-imposed limitations, and which I experienced myself many years as I developed. Um, I'd be reading Robert Monroe and Bruce Moen and thinking, oh boy, I could never do that. I'm just a newbie starting out. And of course, that's 20 years ago, 25 years ago. And then slowly, bit by bit, you sort of break through your limitations. And I had an experience of that. Let me just touch on that. It's on a video that I'm going to, in my Word of God YouTube video. And I'm turning it into text. I'll put it up onto the TMI website on text on Facebook. I had the interesting experience because of computer limitations. I was trying to do retrievals on the day that I heard, like hours later or less than hours later, that Israel had sent a missile to Damascus and had demolished what seemed to have been a Palestinian or Iranian rather embassy. And sure enough, there was about eight or 10 people there dead. And I was trying to retrieve them, got two or three of them. And at one point, I had to hold up for a minute. I contacted a couple of guys, and then there was a third or fourth person, it was a woman, and I was working with her, trying to get their confidence. They're like, "Who are you, and what are you doing here?" That kind of stuff. And I realized because of the computer issues, I had to like do one short video and then upload it and then do the next one. It's a computer issue. Don't worry about it. Anyway, so what I found myself doing, and I say found myself doing, I didn't consciously do this. It's like, oh, I'm going to do this. What I did was I paused the action on the astral plane. So the woman that I was talking to, I paused it so that she wasn't aware of the passage of time and that I was gone for 10 minutes. And the reason not the reason, I realized afterwards that I had done this because I had read accounts by people that have contact with alien abductors. The aliens, some of them, the EBEs, if you like, they can do this. They can pause the action around the person that they're taking so that other people don't know. They're like frozen, and then they come back, put the person back, and click, and it all starts again. And now, when I read this years ago, I thought, wow, that's pretty crazy. How would you ever do that? Well, there I am doing this retrieval, and I'm doing it. So believe me, I was amazed. I was absolutely amazed. So anyway, I went back, did another 10-minute video and managed to get the woman, up to an astral plane reception center out of this ruined building. And the whole story is on there. And as I say, I'll put it up on the TMI website. But just to give you a strong example of how suddenly you find yourself doing something that you thought you would never do, over and above basic spirit contact. This can happen. And just allow it. If it does, weird stuff like that happens to you, just allow it. Just let it flow. You'd be amazed at what can happen when you sort of bring down the walls of limitation. So with that as a little preamble, if everyone's, yeah, well, first of all, if we're going to do retrievals today, does anyone have a question ahead of time before we start? I'm open to any questions, whatever you might be thinking about.
Yeah, Gordon, I felt like during times when like COVID was happening and thousands of people were dying every day,
Yes,
and or any big event like that, I would find myself waking up in the morning feeling an angst. And
yes.
I assumed that that I was doing retrievals because or helping people cross over because I would say to my team on the other side, I need a break. And the next day I'd wake up and there would not be that angst. And then I would say, okay, I'm ready again. So it's like I was picking up the energy of the disorientation of the people crossing over. Would you say that's a pretty accurate assumption?
Oh, yes, absolutely. And it's interesting that you would say this, Gary, with reference to that specific situation, because, well, as we know from the figures from the World Health Organization that they publish every year, like tens of thousands of people die from diseases every day.
Hmm.
More in the third world because of malaria and all that sort of a thing, tuberculosis and stuff. But we in the first world really experienced that during COVID. And I'm intrigued that you would mention this, because the long-term, uh, uh, how shall I say, alien UFO investigator Bob Peterson, who's been doing this stuff for years, he was just interviewed. He gets interviewed a lot, and he also does out-of-body stuff. And I knew about this because his first out-of-body book was published by Hampton Roads at the same time my first one was in 2004. So always known that he could do this. But in this interview with Grant Cameron, they talked a lot about UFO contact and abductions, and different things. And then he talked about his out of body stuff, and he was talking specifically. And he's done lots of retrieval work, but during the COVID times, he would find himself in these large buildings that didn't seem to be quite be hospitals, but not like astral plane hospitals that we know of, but uh, I don't know. He said there were sort of like hotels, but not that fancy, with a lot of people sitting around together in big rooms around tables and, casually chatting. And he would be, the guy that's appearing there, and he would say to people, well, do you know you're dead? And they'd all go, yeah, sure, we know, in a very sort of casual way, and not really seeming to be concerned that much. And he had assumed that these were all people that had died recently from COVID. And as I had not had that experience myself, Gary, I was quite interested, and I sent him an email about it. And because when we retrieve people and take them to, astral plane, nursing homes or hotels, sorry, not hotels, hospitals, they're very obviously in need of care. And the people that work there know that they're in need of care, and they get beds, and they get care. They get conscious care to their needs. Now, what was interesting about Peterson's experiences, these people were just kind of sitting around like they were waiting for lunch or something. He didn't go into in too much detail, but he was struck by how often it happened to him. And as someone with a lot of experience, he was fairly puzzled. And so it's interesting that you would bring that up. And I didn't have a lot of experiences like that myself in that time period, but I was struck. Well, not conscious experiences that I'd remembered, but I was struck by the envelope of fear that was on the astral plane because of the how shall I say, the promotional activity of governments and big pharma. There was a lot of fear, and that's what I seem to be dealing with the most. How about you?
No, I would agree. And that's what I think I was picking up on was people being very disoriented, finding themselves out of their body, being fearful, not knowing what to expect. And
Uh-huh.
I'm somewhat empathic. So I was
Yeah.
coming back with a overlay of that. It wasn't mine. And as the
Yes.
morning wore on, it would dissipate. but
Yes.
it got a little tiring, and I would take breaks. I would say,
Yeah.
okay, I need a break, and then a few days later, I'd take it up again and
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
still feel it. But
Well,
yeah,
certainly that sounds like a wise decision, and I would support your perception of what was going on.
okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Um, sure, no problem. Um, and like I say, it's just isn't it fascinating that just for the last 3 days I've been thinking about what Bob Peterson had said on this matter,
Mm.
and thinking about it so much I sent him an email just yesterday, I think. So yeah, synchronicity strikes again. So if no one else has any more queries or questions, I'd like to proceed on to the retrieval or the attempted retrievals. Okay, so again, I would ask all of you, I'm sure you're pretty comfortable anyway, but if you can, lie back in a comfy chair or a couch or whatever, and relax your body and close your eyes. And this is an experience that does not need eyes open because you'll be looking with your inner eyes. And I allow me to guide you for a little bit, and reflecting on what happened last time. The guidance will be slow. I'll give you lots of space to do what you need to do. And if we had an experience last time where somebody, I'm not sure if they're here today, was doing a retrieval, and my guidance sort of said, well, after 20 minutes or what, I say, well, maybe it's time to leave the person that you're with and come back to Earth base here. And one person had their retrieval interrupted because they followed my instruction. So I would say on this occasion, if you're involved in doing what you're doing and it doesn't quite jive with what I'm saying as guidance, just ignore my guidance. Just go on and do what you feel that you need to do. The guidance is like a sort of a starting point, but it's not like hard and fast rules. It's not like you have to do this in 10 minutes, you have to do that in 20 minutes. It's just guidance. Okay, so please find yourselves in a position of relaxation with your eyes closed, and slow your breathing if you can, and just get relaxed, because I know the exchange of words that we have beforehand, it can excite us a little bit. So let's drift away from that, and let's move into the present moment, the eternal moment where there is no future and there is no past, and there's nothing to regret about yesterday and nothing to worry about for tomorrow. And we will just live in this perfect living moment of now, where we can pretty much access all area passes, as they say at rock concerts. Allow yourself to relax. Allow yourself to feel that we are about to move, and that your guides may very definitely be helping you. And I'm sure they are, but they will likely be standing in the background looking to see if you need a little push or a little shove or a little bit of energy. They might not reveal themselves, but they're there and they're always willing to help. So let us move up out of our domestic spaces, wherever they are. Move up out of your body, up through the ceiling, up through the roof. Here we go. Just like a helium balloon, you're just going to float right up. And you're going to pass through any structure of wall or ceiling or roof with ease. Nothing will hold you back. Let us move into the airy spaces above our communities, or if you live rurally, just above your fields. And here we are, with floating free, with the rest of life going on below us. And now we are going to move through time and space to whatever situation requires our assistance. Whatever soul or group of souls may need some guidance, may need some loving, may need some help. So allow yourself to go to that wherever it is. Doesn't matter where it is. There's so many levels and so many spaces of consciousness on the astral plane that no lack of choice. Just go where you feel like you need to go or where you are being guided. You might find people all alone in an sort of empty, misty space. You might find people in a public place, like anywhere, a park, a restaurant, a sidewalk, a lakeside. They might be sitting on a bench. They might be walking around with a thought form. Some of them are walking around with thought form dogs, I've noticed from time to time. And they just create something without even realizing it. So you might be guided to people that you're karmically connected with, as has happened the last time. So just allow all that to unfold. And very shortly, I will stop talking and allow you your freedom to do what you need to do. But I will come back later. So yes, please continue with what you're doing. Don't feel like I'm trying to hurry you along. Take as much time as you need. Let me also present the possibility that if you've had a successful but maybe brief contact with someone and you've helped them move on or move to a better place, try another one. Well, I'm wondering if some of you are maybe ready to come out of that retrieval situation, but I certainly don't want to push anyone that might not be ready. Just putting out a little feeler there. Okay, guys, thanks for that. Just a little last bit of guidance here. Make sure you've returned, if you're ready to return, to this time and space, this present moment here on Earth, and into your physical body. I think you probably all are. I just want to make sure. Sometimes you can leave just through being, compassionate or curious, you can leave little smidgens of yourself at the other place. You just want to be bringing them back if you can. Great. Happy to hear about anyone's experience.
Well, I'll tell mine. It was
Cool.
really powerful. I've
Really?
never done this from a meditative state, and I heard my
Mm.
guide say, "We've been waiting for you to try this." And
Cool.
you guys might have gone into the astral, but I heard you're going to see Stephanie. So I came to the earth, and there was a woman named Stephanie and her little girl at a horrific car crash. I mean, the car was completely smashed. And she
Yes.
kept saying, "I can't believe we survived this. I can't believe we survived this." She kept saying it over and over. And I walked up to her and I said, "You did survive it, but your body didn't." And
Mm.
I kind of worked to gain her trust, letting her know I was kind, compassionate person and not after something, um, and escorted her to, a greeting station where I handed her off to whoever was there and said, "They're going to tell you more about what you can expect." And it was
Okay.
over, and they wouldn't let me do a second one. They said,
Oh.
No, you need to absorb this experience because normally for me it's when my body is sleeping. So this was from a conscious perspective, and it's quite different and very vivid and very powerful.
Well, thanks for that. That's fascinating, Gary. And interesting that they would say, no, no, you can't do another one.
They wanted me to absorb. It was very powerful, and it didn't
Uh-huh.
take a whole lot of time. I mean, it was out of time, but I was back, I think, before anyone else. And then when you
Uh-huh.
said maybe try a second one, they went, no, no, you just absorb what you just did because we've been waiting for you to try this.
Cool, cool.
That was my experience.
Well, wonderful. I hope you feel inspired to do it again on your own time. Although
Oh yeah,
I realize you're a busy guy.
no, 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 I'm not that busy. I'm retired.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, and I hope Stephanie's in a better place now because she was going to hang around that wreckage. I could tell she
Yes,
wasn't
yes.
going to go anywhere.
Okay, thank you for that, Gary.
Thank you for the experience.
You're welcome.
Eating it.
Much fun for me. I love to do these. It's great being a facilitator. It's just wonderful. It's just like opening doors for people. It's that simple. Anyone else care to speak?
I have a past life in South America, in the Amazonas, and I
Mm-hmm.
went there to meet some people,
Mm-hmm.
and it appears that because I met the chief for this tribe, and he was very curious and very worried because the other people in the tribe were sick, and
Mm-hmm.
it appears that the water was destroyed or poisoned
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
by the government because they wanted the tribe to move.
Oh yes, right.
And because the government wanted to explore even more hidden gems in the Amazonas,
Yes, yes.
old Inca ruins and that kind of stuff. And they
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
even took me to these places, and it was
Yeah.
amazing. But
Wonderful.
I helped them to clear the water
Oh,
by
cool.
contacting some shamans.
Uh-huh.
I feel a bit really overwhelmed, and I just feel so tired, and oh gosh, it was a huge job. So yeah, it was interesting. Thank you.
Well, thank you for that, Eva. That's quite a complicated, complex experience operating on a couple of levels. Let me ask you, do you think this situation was in our present time, like around
Yeah,
now?
it is now. It is now.
I see. Okay. That's all I wanted to know. 'Cause you said about past lives, and I thought it might have been going into the past, but I'm sure a couple of hundred years ago, the government wouldn't have been poisoning the water.
It started with that I saw some sequences from that meditation I had from that I explored my past life. That I
Uh-huh.
understood. Okay, I'm in Amazonas, and it was the next movie sequence that I was meeting this chief for this tribe,
Mm-hmm.
and he could barely breathe because he was poisoned by the water. They were drinking the water in the stream.
While you were there, part of you contacted some shamans and
Yeah,
worked on clearing the water.
yes,
I see. Fascinating. Fascinating. I've never heard anything quite like that. So thank you for that contribution.
thank you.
A couple of nights ago, earlier in the week, I had a very vivid dream where I was in my car, and there was a car that was right beside me. It was two lanes, and all of a sudden it went down to one lane.
Mm.
And this guy, there was concrete barriers, and this guy he couldn't get into the lane, so he ran right into the barrier, and
Mm.
then I hit him. And then, so that was my dream. And then
Mm-hmm.
I woke up, and that was it. But then today, when I started meditating, I went to that place where the accident
Mm.
was.
Mm.
And there was, this time I was walking up to it, and there was no cars behind us. It was just the two destroyed cars. And
Mm.
there was a bunch of people that were they were around a group, like around a circle, and they were like all different ages. And they weren't white, they were either black or Indian. Then from that scene, I was wondering what they were doing there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I think that they were other dead spirits of the person. Said someone had died in that car crash.
Yes.
And sure enough, the next spot I found myself on, I was in an ambulance. It wasn't speeding anymore. with the siren, everything was turned off. And there was a guy that was in the bed, probably in his 20s. They turned off the siren and all that because he had died. He sat up in the bed with his legs hanging off, and I talked to him, and I told him that he was dead, and he didn't believe it. He said, I'm not. You know, I could see his spirit body sitting on there, and then I could see his dead body laying on the. And then from that point, with a little bit more conversation, it's a little bit kind of fuzzy here, but I said, you need to go. You're in heaven now. You're dead. It's time to move on. And in the distance there was a bright light, and I said, let's go towards the light. And he said yes, and we walked towards it, and then it was over.
Cool.
Hopefully he made it into the white light.
Oh, I think so. When you lead them up to the white light, they always go in. You know, that's my experience. And if they hesitate a little bit after you leave, you know, thinking that they're in, usually some guide will just give them a little shove, just a little push on the shoulders, you know.
What about you, Gordon? You were meditating a long time.
Yes, well, I just try to not actually do a retrieval myself, but just be an observer, a sympathetic facilitator, observer to everyone else's experience. I don't necessarily see everyone else's experience, but I can feel it usually, and I just let people do what they need to do at whatever level of functionality they perceive themselves to be. Certainly, when I'm doing a one-on-one situation, like with a client on Skype, I will be more active on that level. But with a group, I think it's best for me to stand back and be, guidance. And I didn't have any particular retrieval experience that I can relate, other than what I just mentioned. But as you know, there's plenty in my book.
If anybody else here, even if you got part of one, because go ahead, it's fine to explain it. Mine, I'm not even sure. You know, you go back saying, did I make parts of that story up? Just because I told it, the whole story doesn't mean that I was successful or I had the real thing happen. Anybody have like parts of something?
One thing I could add to my experience, it just occurred to me, there was a sense of the people in the reception area where I took Stephanie to knew me. They knew me.
Right.
They did.
Exactly.
I cannot tell you names of any of them, but I sensed that I knew them.
Well, obviously, Gary, you're a regular. They know you.
Yeah,
When
I
you
guess.
show up, they're not surprised when you show up. They know why you're there. They know what you're doing. And I've tried to explain that to people in other situations. And you see it in various people's books, you know, even the older spiritualist books. Someone will be guiding somebody to a hospital, and they'll say, well, the nurse behind the desk knew exactly who I was. And obviously, I've had that experience too. They just know. They don't really have to get into any kind of detail. If they don't recognize your face, they recognize your vibration.
Sure.
And I think they do actually recognize the face too.
Yeah, it was a real strong sense of that, of familiarity.
And these relationships we have with people on the other side, over and above the retrieval work, I get the feeling those relationships are significantly more detailed than we realize.
Oh, yeah.
And including myself. I just get that feeling. I haven't really explored it yet, but there's a fairly complex interaction going on a very regular basis. And I don't think they push us too much because in recognizing it, because they want us to like still be able to lead a sort of so-called normal life. You know, they're aware of that. And I think they're probably right. You don't want to be walking around in this world, as I've sometimes done, you know, obsessed with what you did the previous night and thinking about it. You have to kind of try and limit that to your meditation time, because, you know, we have a responsibility to be, you know, cheerful, you know, loving citizens and neighbors in this world. And I think we all enjoy that one way and another. The people that we know on the other side, they don't push us too much because they realize that we have to cope. We have to be down in this world, and we have to pay bills and, you know, dig holes in the garden and fix the car. You know, they know all that stuff.
It felt like a definite breakthrough moment for me because there was that strong sense from my guides, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
We've been waiting for you to try this from a conscious space. I've never done it. You know I do it when I'm out of body at night, not always consciously.
Right.
Though I have had conscious out-of-body experiences. They're
Uh-huh.
not anywhere extensive as yours, Gordon, but I've had a good handful of them. And
Right. Right.
it's
Well,
like they wanted me to experience this, and I actually arranged my day so that I could be here. It felt really important to be here today. So.
so I'm sorry more people didn't feel like they wanted to communicate, but thanks to those of you who did, they were all fascinating. Fascinating stuff. Like I say, um, I've been facilitating retrieval work for years. I don't think I've ever heard anything like Eva's story. Not quite. Certainly, people going to the third world, as we call it, and helping out with situations. But that went to a different level. I was quite fascinated with that.
What I didn't remember, but afterwards now here, I remember that in the end, when we had to have these ceremonies,
Mm.
me and the chief were cutting our thumbs and make us like blood brothers.
Oh yes.
I could feel the cut in
Uh-huh.
my thumb, and
Really
yeah,
fascinating.
and I just ow. So yeah, it was interesting.
Uh-huh. Great stuff. Love it.
It is interesting.
So no one else would like to say anything? Everyone's happy with or satisfied with what went down?
I don't think I had well, I had an experience, but it's not like an experience like what, you all have experienced. I haven't done anything like this before. And when you started talking, Gordon, I started getting really chilled, just cold chills going all up and down my body. And
Uh-huh.
I thought, well, maybe I should go get my jacket, but I didn't. I didn't, but I had the chills the whole time, and I did feel like that I wasn't sitting here in this chair. I did
Uh-huh.
feel I was out in space, but
Uh-huh.
I don't know enough to really say I did this or I did that or didn't do this or whatever. But
Uh-huh.
I know that I felt weightless, and then when you said to come back, or um, I gradually sort of felt myself being right here on the chair in my surroundings.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I can't, like I said, I haven't done anything like this before, so but the chills was what really surprised me, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, Carol, I can tell that you're open to the experience, but you're somewhat hindered by uh, the excitement of travel, which you just mentioned at the beginning, and your energy was pretty jumpy and vibrant. So you weren't able to settle as much as you will be able to settle on another occasion. I
Oh,
ask you to come back again and be with us when you're a little more settled. I'm sure you will have an experience then because I can see that you're open to it.
well, thank you. Yeah, I'll be here.
Good,
Yeah,
good.
thank you.
No problem.
And if I can just explain mine, I actually got the chills and that the atmosphere went very cold for quite a while. But that is typical of most of my meditation attempts, even at the church. But tonight there was virtually nothing after that. At one stage, I thought I was actually going up, but no, I never got anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Just one of those things.
Yeah, it's perfectly fine. I just learned over time, patience is the way. You got to just be patient. It just takes,
Yeah,
be happy if you get something or if you don't get something.
yeah.
Yeah, it's important that you're willing to participate, both
Yes.
Stanley and Caroline. So don't underestimate that. That's a big first step, or even big second or third step. But yeah, keep with it, and don't criticize yourself too much, and just allow things to flow, and things will happen, and they may happen where we're not doing a little class like we're doing now. You
Yeah.
may be
Yeah.
falling asleep one night, and something will happen.
I'd love to.
I usually did these astro travels in the sleep for quite
Hmm.
Yeah.
some time. It's not until I join this group when I do it when I'm awake and it is in planned, that kind of stuff. But what I have noticed is that mostly my astro travels is in a political way,
Hmm.
and that is why I just okay. What is the mission? What is the purpose?
Hmm.
Why is this that kind of work?
Well, people in all walks of life, whether they're janitors, bus drivers, CEOs, mayors of small towns, uh, whatever, kindergarten teachers, and we'll go right up to powerful politicians. They've all got guides, and they've all got guidance that they can either listen to or not listen to. And that, I'm including, when I say politicians, I'm talking about people that we might consider our enemies. And so you could well have taken on this task of working with people in the political sphere.
Yeah, I
That could
do
be the
know
case.
which kind of guides I have with me, and I'm surprised that some of them is contacting me, and I just, why on earth do you contacting me? We are not in the same league. I'm sorry,
Uh-huh.
but anyway, they have something that they need to apologize for and make everything right again, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. If they've passed, well,
Yeah,
they don't even have to pass on. Sometimes they can be in an astral place when they're asleep, and they leave a little bit their ego desires behind, the ego that wants to be the powerful manipulative controller, and they have little bits of regrets that they feel for that kind of behavior, and that may not last till the next morning when they wake up, but it might be there while they're out of body at night, and you can certainly work with them then. Now,
yeah.
so I just say that to be positive and make it seem like it's worthwhile. Don't ever feel like the disastrous situation of the world and political stuff and wars and stuff is is a reason not to help out.
Yeah, but I
You
was
can always
surprised
do
when
something.
yeah, but I was surprised when Truman came through and wanted to apologize, and I just, why on earth me?
Uh-huh.
So, but anyway, yeah,
Did you say Truman?
yes,
Who are you referring to?
Yeah.
The former
There you go.
President Truman?
yes, yes.
Okay, I get it. I get it. No,
I was so surprised, and I just, oh,
yeah.
but
No,
yeah,
I imagine he's got lots of thoughts because he was around at the time of the development of the atomic bomb. So
oh yes,
I'm sure he's got regrets on that,
yeah.
as they all do.
He was the first one of the American president that come through, and
Uh-huh.
sometimes they
Uh-huh.
pops in from time to time, even Churchill, and yeah. So who knows?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Well, I know from the this some of you might read the books of Robert Moss. The guy does all the lucid dreaming stuff. He's got a book about all lucid dreamers throughout history, and he discovered a diary kept by Winston Churchill's doctor, not by Winston Churchill, but by his doctor, about all the pretty strong psychic dreams that he had while he was a man of power and influence, and that's pretty fascinating. So I'm sure he's cyclically connected to all sorts of things. And I know that British medium Leslie Flint, didn't he channel Churchill a whole pile of times?
I think so.
I think so.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So, yeah, like I say, never assume that you know, yeah, sure, most of the time you're going to be dealing with people that died in car accidents or people with drug overdoses or you know, whatever, regular folks. But don't assume that because you're just, you know, like we're all kind of regular folks here, that you cannot interact with the rich and powerful. You certainly can. I've talked to Jeffrey Epstein twice, and I just kind of walk into where he is and sit down and go, "Hi, Jeff, how you doing?" And he looks at me like, "Oh God, not you again," because he knows I'm going to be a model authority, and he doesn't want to face up to his actions. He wants to make excuses right down the line, and I don't let him away. You know, I say, "Okay, well, nice going there, Jeff. How are you enjoying your afterlife?" You know, and he's not having a bad time. He's not in hell. He's living with other kind of formerly rich, corrupt people in nice houses on the astral plane because they're not ready to punish themselves yet. They're like, we're super cool and we've got lovely houses and you know all that shit. So don't assume that you can't do that. You can. I mean, you may not want to do it. I'm not saying you should want to do it. Just don't assume that you can. Okay, thanks everyone.